Hey guys, tonight we begin with something far removed from comfort, a time of plagues, punishments, pestilence, and pottage. We're leaving behind soft beds and social media to take a plunge into the gritty, grimy truth of life in the Middle Ages. Forget whatever images you carry, gleaming suits of armor, majestic castles, and noble knights rescuing maidens. This isn't that story. This is the story of what it was actually like to live, eat, sleep, suffer, and survive in medieval Europe. And spoiler alert, you probably wouldn't last a single day. Before we start, take a second, breathe, dim the lights, maybe turn on a quiet fan to mimic the medieval wind sighing through wooden shutters. Hit that like and subscribe button only if you genuinely enjoy what we're building here together. And in the comments, let me know what time it is where you are and what part of the world you're watching from. I'm always amazed to see the reach of this strange little digital tavern we share. Now, gather your courage, steel your senses, and let's descend together into a world that smells like boiled cabbage and regret. You awaken suddenly, not from the buzz of an alarm clock, but the shrill clang of a church bell. Not the pleasant tolling of Sunday Mass, but an echoing metallic hammer that rings across the village like it's summoning the dead. You're confused, disoriented. You sit up slowly, your eyes sting, your mouth is dry, and every joint in your body protests like it's never known comfort. Congratulations. It's the year 1325, and you're alive. Technically. You look down at what you were sleeping on. A mattress, if one could generously call it that. It's a lumpy sack of straw, decomposing in stages. Bugs crawl in and out of it like it's their ancestral homeland. The hay inside smells like a mouldy barn floor, which is fitting. This very pile once was part of a barn floor. The blanket covering you is wool, grey-brown, and crusted stiff from winters past. It hasn't been washed in so long that it now carries its own weather system. You shake it off, and it releases a fine mist of dust, hair, and possibly the ghosts of small rodents. You're 22. In medieval terms, this makes you middle-aged. You have half your teeth, your spine clicks every time you breathe, and your knees ache like you've been kneeling for 100 years. You stretch. Bad idea. A shooting pain runs down your back and into your legs like punishment for moving. Your joints don't so much bend as creak. Now you notice the cold. It's not just cold, it's alive. The kind of cold that seeps through wood, straw, cloth, and into your soul. Your breath fogs the air. You're indoors, technically, but your one-room wooden hut doesn't believe in insulation. Gaps in the walls let in air, wind, and any small animals interested in visiting. There's no fireplace, just a small, soot-blackened pit in the center of the room with a few glowing embers. They've done nothing to warm the space, but they've filled it with smoke. Your eyes sting, and your lungs hurt when you breathe deeply. You look around. Your entire family is here, your parents, siblings, maybe an uncle or two, and someone's crying baby, all sleeping, snoring, coughing. No one has their own bed. People are huddled in corners, bundled in rags, sharing body heat. Livestock is inside too. Chickens cluck near the doorway. A goat is chewing something in the corner, and you're pretty sure there's a pig under the table. You try to stand. Your feet hit the dirt floor, cold, damp and sticky. Is it water, old soup, chicken waste? You don't ask. You just accept. The floor is part of you now, one with your soul. There's no bathroom, just a wooden bucket out back, if you're lucky. You grab your scratchy wool tunic, the only piece of clothing you own that isn't already on your body. You throw it over yourself and tiptoe outside. Outside, the morning mist clings to everything like a wet shroud. The air is thick with the smell of burning peat, wet hay, manure, smoke, and rot. You breathe through your mouth, and even that tastes like suffering. You find your way to the latrine, which is just a hole in the ground or a bucket leaning behind the hovel. The previous user didn't aim well. You take care of your business, gag the entire time, and then, tradition demands, you fling the contents into the street. You call out, "Guardy-Loo!" No one listens. A passing child jumps aside, too late. The streets are narrow channels of mud and waste, human waste, animal waste, rotting food, dead rats, mysterious liquids. It all flows like a sick parody of a river snaking its way downhill toward the market square. This is urban planning, 14th century style. You hurry back inside. Your stomach growls. Not from hunger exactly, you're used to hunger, but from the constant state of nutritional confusion your body lives in. Breakfast time. The fire has been stoked. A pot hangs over it. Inside, pottage. Always pottage. A slurry of yesterday's ingredients, plus a few new ones that nobody questioned too much. Grains, turnips, maybe a bit of wild onion, and something that might be rat tail or root. It simmers endlessly, never fully emptied. Each day adds more to the brew, like a soup made of memory and guesswork. You scoop a bowl. It's greyish, smells like wet socks and sadness. You chew it slowly. It fights back. On the side, there's bread, hard enough to cause injury if thrown, made of rye, barley, and possibly a handful of crushed acorns. If you're lucky, there's no fungus today. You sip from a cup of warm, flat ale. Weak beer is all anyone drinks, even children. It's safer than water, which is teeming with invisible horrors. You eat in silence. The fire crackles. Somewhere outside, someone is already yelling at a donkey. You finish your meal, if it can be called that, and it doesn't so much nourish you as remind you you're still alive. You prepare to work. There is no choice, no weekend, no break. Your entire day will be spent either in the fields, breaking your back for a lord who doesn't know your name, or in a workshop, inhaling smoke and dust and possibly bits of yourself. You pull on your tunic. It's the same one you wore yesterday, and the day before that, and the month before that. Washing it is an ordeal, so you don't. You wear your life in its fibers, sweat, dirt, ash, lice. Your shoes, if you own any, are cracked leather, thin as paper, and smell like pickled sadness. Most people just go barefoot, through mud, through dung, through cold, through disease. But still, you go. You rise with the sun, because you have to. And honestly, who can blame it? You step outside your hut. The door creaks, barely holding to its hinges, and swings into the moist, uneven dirt that passes for a road. The village around you begins to stir. You hear the clatter of hooves on wet cobblestone, the sharp cry of a crow, the distant grunt of someone already annoyed with life. It's always like this. Life starts not with joy, but with tension. The kind that lives in your shoulders, your stomach, your bones. Your job today, same as yesterday, farm labor. But farm is a generous term. It's mostly rocky land, half drowned in mud, where anything that grows does so in defiance of God and soil alike. You trudge toward the fields with a wooden hoe over your shoulder. It's heavy, not because of its weight, but because of what it represents. Generations of toil, all for food you'll never taste in abundance. Along the way, you pass others. Women balancing baskets on their heads, men carrying tools, children walking barefoot through mud, herding goats twice their size. No one talks unless necessary. Words are saved for prayer or warning. You start digging. The soil is cold and stubborn. It clings to your tool like it doesn't want to be moved. You break your back anyway, hour after hour, tearing the land apart in hopes it'll be merciful come harvest. You don't work for money, you work for survival, and even that's not guaranteed. The sun, when it finally appears, does so with the same indifference as the Lord you serve. It doesn't warm you, it scorches. Soon your tunic clings to you with sweat, smoke, and effort. Blisters bloom on your hands, raw and aching. You ignore them. There's no ointment, no breaks, no union. Time doesn't pass in hours here. It passes in aches, in the deep pull of muscles, in the slow throb of exhaustion crawling up your spine. At noon, you chew a piece of hard bread that cracks a molar and swallow some lukewarm beer. Then it's back to work. You're not alone. The fields are full of others like you, stooped bodies, weather-beaten faces, sunken eyes. You don't know half their names. You do know who groans the most when they kneel, whose kid died last winter, who lost a finger in the mill. These are the facts that shape your world, not birthdays or celebrations, but accidents, illnesses, and rumors of wolves. Sometimes there's talk of bandits, or soldiers, or taxes being raised again, and you listen, not out of curiosity, but out of calculation. Because if the Lord sends a new tax collector, it means your pottage will get even thinner. Later, after a full day of breaking the earth with your bones, you trudge back home. The sun is setting, bathing the horizon in a reddish glow that looks beautiful, if only it didn't mean more cold was coming. You look around. Nothing has changed. Nothing ever does. But you survived another day. That counts for something. You reach your hovel. Inside, the fire is dim. Someone's boiling something that smells like wet hay. Your family is there, quiet, tired, and covered in dust. A baby cries. A mother sighs. You sit down on a wooden stool that's missing one leg, balance yourself like a professional, and exhale. Your feet are sore. Your arms ache. Your stomach growls. You eat another bowl of pottage. This time, it's a slightly different color, possibly because someone dropped a beet in it, possibly because something died in the pot and was never removed. Either way, you chew. After dinner, there's not much to do. There's no television, no books, at least not ones you can read. The only entertainment is storytelling. So someone tells the tale of a saint who performed miracles, or a man who saw a demon in the woods. These stories blur with time. No one questions their truth. They're not meant to be believed. They're meant to distract. Sometimes someone sings, a low, droning tune that sounds more like a prayer than a song. The notes rise like smoke and settle into the wooden beams above. You close your eyes. You don't fall asleep. You drift, like wood on a river carried by exhaustion. But tonight, you don't get peace. Not really. The wind howls louder than usual. The roof leaks. And then comes the scratching. Rats again. You pull your blanket tighter. You pretend you don't hear them. You hope they're only after crumbs and not toes. Outside, a dog barks. Then another. Then silence. You hold your breath, listening. You wonder, was that thunder? Or hooves? Or something worse? But you don't investigate. Curiosity is a luxury. Instead, you curl into yourself. You think of nothing. You become nothing. You survive. And in the morning, it will start all over again. The rooster doesn't crow so much as scream, like even it hates mornings. You wake up again, though calling it waking up might be generous. You were never truly asleep, not in the way you know sleep today. It was more like hovering in a daze, listening to people shift, groan, snore, whisper prayers, and scratch fleas through the long, aching hours of the night. There's no snooze button, no gentle fade in of light from your smart lamp. Just a jolt, cold, noise, and the feeling that your back may never forgive you for sleeping on straw. You sit up slowly, your body stiff, your muscles sore in ways that aren't new, just older versions of yesterday's pain. You cough, deep and rattling, a common sound in your village. Everyone has a cough. Everyone always has a cough. You don't think much of it unless someone starts coughing blood. Then it becomes a matter for God. You stumble toward the wall, splash a handful of freezing water onto your face from a wooden basin. The water is cloudy. Something's floating in it. You pretend you don't see it. You splash anyway. The cold stings, and briefly, you're awake. Your teeth ache. Badly. Not just one. All of them. You press your tongue against one in the back and feel it shift slightly. Loose. Rotten. You'll need to pull it soon, or it'll pull you. Either way, the outcome is pain. There's no toothbrush. Some people chew on sticks or rinse with vinegar, if they're fancy. Mostly, mouths are full of decay. Kissing isn't romantic. It's risky. And smiling, that's showing weakness. Or worse, teeth. You poke at your scalp. It itches. Always. Lice are not visitors. They are residents. You could name them. They're older than some of your siblings. Everyone has them. Even priests. Even kings. They come free with your birth and stay until your death. They're the only inheritance you can truly count on. Outside, the village is stirring. Fires are being relit, pots are clanking, chickens are squawking like they've seen something unholy, which, in this time and place, could be anything. You walk out slowly, step by step, adjusting to the chill that wraps around your skin like an unwelcome relative. You notice smoke curling from a neighboring hut. The scent of burning dung fills the air, your standard winter fuel. It smells worse than it sounds, and it sounds terrible. You take it in with a grimace. That's how mornings smell here, like frozen earth, wet wool, and regret. The village centre is mud, thick, clinging, and ever present. It never really dries. It just shifts consistency. Today, it's sticky. You lose a shoe in it, then step in something warm and unpleasant. You don't react. That's just life. You pull your shoe from the muck with a squelch that sounds like the village itself is trying to swallow you. You head to the edge of the woods. Today, you've been asked to gather firewood. It's dangerous, not just physically, but legally. The forest is technically owned by the local lord. Taking too much wood, or the wrong kind, can get you fined, beaten, or worse. But you need heat, and no one is checking today. Probably. The woods are quiet. Too quiet. You walk carefully, eyes scanning for fallen branches. Your ears tune into every sound, every snapped twig, every flutter of wings. You've heard tales of wolves, of outlaws, of men who disappeared in these trees and never came back. But you don't have the luxury of fear. You need wood. You collect it, arms full, splinters. Fox, limping, eyes sunken, fur matted with frost, the same expression. Survival. It turns and vanishes into the undergrowth. You keep walking, shoulders aching, fingers numb. Morning again. You knew it was coming, but that doesn't make it easier. There's no such thing as waking up refreshed here. You wake up because your body can't sleep anymore, not when the air bites your skin and your shoulder is stiff from lying on a wooden slat for 8 hours. You sit up slowly. Your back cracks in 3 places. You're not even old, just worn, like a cartwheel that's rolled across too many bad roads. Someone in your home is already crying. It's your little sister. She's 5, maybe 6, but already knows the rules of hunger. Crying doesn't fix anything, but it's all she can do. The pot is empty. It wasn't filled last night. That means someone didn't catch anything, didn't gather enough, didn't trade enough, and that means today you have to beg. Begging isn't noble, it's desperate. It makes you small, in a world where being small is already dangerous, but it's what's left when everything else runs out. You walk toward the village edge. The wealthier homes aren't rich by modern standards. They're just less broken. 2 rooms instead of 1. A fence. Maybe a pig that doesn't live inside with them. You knock once, then wait, then bow. Sometimes you're given a stale crust of bread. Sometimes just a look that could cut stone. Today, a woman offers you a turnip and warns you not to come back tomorrow. You thank her anyway. Gratitude isn't a choice here. It's survival. Back in the center of the village, something's happening. A small crowd is gathering. There's a man shouting. He's red-faced and angry. His goat went missing. He blames his neighbor. The neighbor blames someone else. Fingers point, voices rise. There are no lawyers, no investigations, just suspicion and shouts. The village elder arrives. He's old, but not wise, just old enough to have outlived his enemies. He demands an oath be taken. The accused must swear on the Bible that he didn't steal the goat. He hesitates. Too long. That's enough. Guilt confirmed. No prison, no trial. Just a beating, right there in the square. The crowd watches, some with pity, some with satisfaction. No one stops it. Justice here is not blind. It's impatient, violent, and deeply personal. The man limps away, bloodied. The goat is never found. Later, as you help gather firewood with your cousin, he tells you a story about a woman from a nearby village. She was accused of witchcraft. They say she made cows stop giving milk. They say she stared at a man and his crops failed. They say she spoke to a crow and the crow nodded. So they tied her up, threw her in the river. She floated. That meant she was guilty. So they dragged her out and burned her. You ask what would have happened if she'd sunk. Your cousin shrugs. Then she'd be innocent, but dead. You nod slowly. That's how logic works here. Truth isn't what's real, it's what people agree on, and people are afraid, always, of the devil, of witches, of famine, of strangers, of disease. Fear runs deeper than rivers here. That night, a fever hits your youngest brother. He's hot to the touch, delirious. He sweats and mutters and sees things no one else can. There's no doctor, just your mother, a cloth, and whispered prayers. She lights a candle and places it by the bed. She crushes garlic and smears it on the doorframe. She mutters old words her grandmother once said in another language. Is it a cure? Is it superstition? You don't ask. You just watch. You sit by your brother's side as he shakes, moans, then finally falls silent. His breathing slows, not gone, just distant, like he's already halfway out of the world. Your father stands in the doorway. He doesn't speak, just nods once, then leaves. There's nothing to do but wait. If your brother lives, it'll be called a miracle. If not, it will be God's will. You pray for both. You don't know which answer hurts more. Outside, the stars are bright, unnaturally so. The sky is clear, and the wind has stopped. That's never a good sign. You've learned to read the weather, not by science, but by survival. Clear skies can mean frost. Frost means failed crops. Failed crops mean hunger, and hunger means death. You step outside. The ground crunches underfoot. The moon stares down like a watchful eye. You look up, exhale a shaky breath, and whisper into the night. Please, just one more day. The wind doesn't answer, but somehow you feel heard. The cold has teeth now. It doesn't just chill your skin, it burrows into your bones, curls around your ribs, and sits heavy on your chest. You wake up shivering so violently that your joints pop like old furniture. Your breath rises in thick clouds and hangs above you like a ghost that refuses to leave. Outside, frost coats every surface. The dirt has turned to stone. The chickens refuse to come out. Even the goat looks resentful, glaring from the corner of the hut like you personally offended it by not moving to a warmer century. You layer every rag you own. 2 tunics, a scarf made from old curtain scraps, gloves stitched from stitched-together bits of leather and cloth. It doesn't help much. Wool only keeps you warm when it's dry. Nothing is dry anymore. The world smells of wet ashes, frozen mud, and desperation. You blow into your hands and rub them together. They're cracked, bleeding in places, but you don't notice anymore. Pain is part of the background music of life now. Today, you're sent to help repair a neighbour's roof. Yours was patched with moss and hope weeks ago, and now it's someone else's turn. You climb up carefully, your breath hitching every time your foot slips. Below, children run with sticks, pretending they're knights. Their laughter is rare and sharp in the freezing air. It echoes like it doesn't belong here. One girl calls herself Queen of the Snow. She wears a flower crown made of dead thistle and twigs. She walks with pride across the frozen puddles, announcing decrees. "No rats in the soup," she declares. Everyone claps, even the goat. You smile without meaning to. It fades quickly, but it was real. By afternoon, your fingers are numb. You've hammered slats and packed straw between beams to block the wind. It won't last, but neither does anything here. You go home with splinters and frostbite nipping at your toes. Dinner is thinner than usual, more water, less everything else. You chew slowly, pretending the broth has flavour. Your sister tells a joke, badly, but with such commitment that everyone laughs. Your mother smiles for the first time in days. Your father even claps once. The joke wasn't funny, but the moment was. Later that night the wind howls. The fire sputters low. You share the bed with 2 siblings, shoulder to shoulder. There's no room to move. You fall asleep to the sound of soft breathing and the occasional slap, someone killing a flea in their sleep. You dream strange dreams, of warmth, of summer, of sunlight that doesn't hurt, an air that smells like nothing at all. And when you wake, it's still cold, still dark, still medieval, but you're alive. Spring is slow. It doesn't arrive. It returns carefully, like a deer testing whether the wolves are still nearby. The snow melts, turning everything to mud. Chickens begin to lay again. The goat stops giving you the side eye. The trees bud. The sun, occasionally, lingers a little longer in the sky. You feel it in your bones first, a lightness, then in your chest, then on your face the first day you squint at the sunlight and realize it doesn't feel like a curse anymore. You work harder now, because now there's hope. You plow, you sow, you mend, you build, you prepare, because you know winter will come back. It always does. But for now, you live. On feast days there's joy, real joy. The village gathers. Music is played, drums, flutes, maybe a fiddle if someone's uncle was ambitious. People dance badly, laugh loudly, and forget their pain for a while. Someone roasts a pig. There's bread, fresh and soft. Children get to eat until they're full. Even the priest loosens up, just a bit. There's storytelling, legends, songs passed down through generations. People clap, stomp, cheer. You forget for a moment what life is like the rest of the time. You dance too. You can't help it. Your feet move awkwardly. Your hands don't know what to do, but someone grabs you, spins you around, and for a few precious minutes you feel free. You aren't a peasant. You aren't dirty or cold or tired. You're just human. And that is everything. That night, under a full moon, you sit outside. The stars are endless. The fire crackles beside you. Someone sings softly in the background, an old lullaby in a language only the oldest still understand. You look up, your eyes wide, your chest warm, not from the fire, from the knowledge that even here, even now, life finds a way to glow. It begins quietly, a rumor spoken in hushed voices behind closed doors. A traveller fell ill on the road. A merchant collapsed in the market square. A priest stopped mid-sermon and never finished. Then more stories. A village gone silent. A town shuttered. Traders no longer arriving. Bread more expensive. Beer suddenly bitter. People whisper the words no one dares say aloud. Plague. You don't know what it is. No one does. But you feel it in the air. The way birds vanish. The way dogs howl at night, the way even the bravest men drink faster, pray louder, and sleep with their doors locked. Then it hits your village. It starts with a cough, just one. No one panics at first. Coughs are common. Life here is one long cough. But then comes the fever, the swelling, the black sores that bubble and burst and spread. The healer doesn't know what to do. She tries everything. Garlic poultices, vinegar baths, leeches, prayers. Nothing helps. Her son dies, then her daughter, then her. Panic spreads faster than the sickness. Families bar their doors, friends stop speaking, neighbors bury bodies at night, graves become shallow, then mass, then forgotten. Church bells ring constantly, not for prayer, for death. The priest tells you it's a punishment from God, for sins, for pride, for something someone did, somewhere, somehow. He walks the streets swinging incense, muttering verses. He gets sick anyway. No one touches him. He dies alone. You see a cart roll by, pulled by one tired horse. A boy sits on it, wide-eyed, silent. The cart is full of bodies. Arms dangle off the sides. The smell is unbearable. You cover your face with cloth. It doesn't help. No one makes eye contact anymore. Eye contact is risk. If someone coughs, they're a ghost already. Children vanish overnight. Entire homes are boarded shut. Some flee to the woods. They take only what they can carry. Many return, sick, dying, screaming. Others turn to superstition. They burn herbs. They chant. They beat themselves with whips, hoping God will see their suffering and forgive them. Blood runs down their backs. No miracles come. You keep your head down. You clean obsessively. You whisper prayers before every sip, every bite. You avoid everyone, even your own mother. It doesn't matter. One morning you find your sister pale, sweating, eyes distant. You know what it is before she speaks. You don't say it. You just sit beside her. For 2 days, she burns. You feed her broth. She vomits it up. You sing to her. She doesn't hear you. On the third day, she reaches for your hand and squeezes once, then nothing. You bury her yourself. The grave is shallow. You have no choice. The ground is hard. You cover her with earth, then stones, then silence. You don't cry. There are no tears left, just emptiness. The plague doesn't take you, not this time. You live, and you wonder why. Months pass, slowly. The sickness fades. The village is smaller now, quieter. There are empty houses, unused tools, fields that never got planted. But life returns. It always does. Babies are born, fires are lit, the priest is replaced, bread is baked. And then, the drums. War. Not your war. You didn't start it. You didn't choose sides. You don't even know what it's about. But your Lord swore loyalty to someone who betrayed someone who insulted someone else. Now, the king demands soldiers, and soldiers must come from somewhere. They choose men from every village. Names are called. Protests are ignored. You see boys barely older than your youngest brother holding spears they don't know how to use. Armor is handed out, old, rusted, too big or too small. You're not chosen this time, but your cousin is. He doesn't speak as he leaves. He just hugs his mother and walks away. 3 weeks later, a man returns, alone, covered in blood and mud and silence. He won't say what happened. He won't enter the village. He just sits at the edge of the field, staring at nothing. They say he's broken, as if anyone here was ever whole. You start locking your door at night, not against invaders, against your own. Faith becomes louder after war. People cling to it like driftwood. The church is fuller, the sermons longer, the confessions more desperate. You confess things you've never done, hoping it'll cover the ones you have. The priest says hell is real, that it burns eternally, that only the righteous will be saved. You try to believe him. You want to. But deep down, you wonder if this isn't already hell. You light a candle every night, for the ones you've lost, for the ones who might be next, for yourself. The flame flickers, small, fragile, but it holds. And for now, so do you. Rain. It comes not gently, but like punishment. A downpour that turns dirt into sludge, homes into puddles, and hope into wet rags hanging on a crooked line. Your roof leaks again. The moss you packed last season has given up. It sags under the weight of water. You put bowls, buckets, cracked mugs wherever you can. It helps, but not enough. By morning, the floor is soaked. Again, the world outside becomes a swamp. Chickens wade through ankle-deep water. The fire barely stays lit. Everything smells like damp wool and wet wood. Your clothes never dry. Your socks rot while you wear them. And still, you work. Because the rain doesn't excuse laziness. The rain doesn't stop hunger. It just makes survival wetter, colder, and more slippery. You go to the fields. The mud pulls at your legs like it wants to keep you. Your hoe strikes the earth and bounces back. The weeds are stronger now. The roots are deep. They always are, in the places you wish they weren't. Other workers move around you, quiet, focused, tired. No one jokes in the rain. Everyone just lowers their heads and digs. By midday, your fingers are so stiff you can't feel them. By evening, they're bleeding. You hold your hands over the fire when you return home, but the heat feels distant, like a memory of warmth, not the thing itself. Dinner is a broth made from wild garlic and barley. No meat, no salt, but it's warm. You drink it slowly, pretending that warmth equals fullness. A neighbor knocks. His child is missing, probably wandered off chasing a frog or a bird. No one volunteers to help search, not because they don't care, because they know. Forests don't give back what they take. The man walks off alone with a torch. You watch the light disappear into the trees. He never comes back. No one speaks of it again. A week later, the taxman arrives. He doesn't wear armor, just arrogance. A puffed tunic, a ledger's book, a bored expression. He arrives on horseback, clean, dry, fed. Behind him, 2 guards with spears and sour expressions. He doesn't ask, he demands. You owe grain, chickens, wool. Even if your stores are low, even if your livestock is dying, You owe it anyway, because the king needs it, because war needs feeding, because someone up there decided someone down here must bleed. People protest, quietly. He ignores them. His guards don't. One man is struck across the jaw for questioning the crown. He collapses, his mouth leaking red. His wife watches, eyes burning, holding their baby like a shield. You reach into your sack and hand over half your winter barley. You feel like screaming, but you don't. You just smile faintly and say, "God save the king," because that's what people say when they want to curse but aren't allowed to. When the taxmen leave, the village exhales, like a prisoner who's been told their sentence is just extended, not executed. You look at your dwindling stores. You recalculate how long they'll last. You realize someone in your house will have to eat less, and somehow you know it'll be you. In the stillness of night, you listen, not to words, to signs, the way the wind moves through trees, the creak of wood settling, the shift of footsteps, animal or human. You never quite know. You've become a connoisseur of quiet. Tonight, something's different. The quiet isn't peaceful, it's expectant, like the world is holding its breath. You step outside. The stars are faint behind a veil of clouds. The moon is a pale coin, almost ashamed to shine. The forest beyond the village is darker than usual, not just from lack of light, but presence. The kind of darkness that feels watched. You go back inside, shut the door gently, and sleep with a knife nearby. Not because you expect to use it, but because not having it would feel like an invitation. The next morning the baker's house has burned, blackened timbers, charred bread, ash where laughter used to live, no one knows how, a dropped ember, a lightning strike, or something worse. There are whispers, cursed oven, demon sparks, witch fire. You want to say it's nonsense, but you don't. Not here, not now. The baker's wife and 2 children stand in the square covered in soot, holding nothing. The village gives them what it can, scraps, rags, a place by someone's fire. That's the rule. You don't have much, but you share it, because one day you might be the one watching your life turn to ash, and the only thing between you and nothing is the kindness of the equally miserable. Days pass, the air shifts, spring turns to summer, but the warmth isn't comforting, it's heavy, oppressive. The sun bakes the earth, cracking it. Wells dry up, crops wither, the animals suffer. Your goat collapses one afternoon. You pour water into its mouth. It twitches once, then stops. You bury it behind the hut. You don't cry, but you sit beside the mound longer than expected. You were never sentimental, but the goat was. There, constant, reliable. The sound of its chewing, the nudge of its head, the way it stared like it knew secrets but didn't care to share. Now, the silence feels louder. That night, you dream of rain, cool, gentle, cleansing. But when you wake, the world is still dry, still cruel, still medieval. Time moves strangely here. Days blur, seasons blend. People age before your eyes, then vanish. Faces you've known your whole life disappear quietly. No funerals, no headstones, just empty stools near the fire. You begin to notice small things, the way your knees don't recover anymore, how your grip isn't what it was, how young people talk faster now, how you don't feel like correcting them. One morning, you sit by the stream and catch your reflection in the water. You almost don't recognize it, the lines, the grey, the sag. It's still you, but not the version you remember. You look back at the village. It's changed too. More children, new families, a rebuilt roof here, a collapsed wall there. The rhythm remains, but the dancers are different. You visit the graves, no markers, just earth and memory. You whisper names. You don't expect answers, but you feel their presence, in the breeze, in the creak of wood, in the way the light hits the well at noon. You used to chase time. Now it chases you, and one day you'll stop running. Stories, that's what's left. At night, the children gather. You tell them what you remember, the big winter, the thunder that cracked a tree in half, The priest who sang off-key, the year of too many frogs. They listen like it's magic. They don't know you're just trying to remember it yourself. They ask questions. Was there really a giant dog in the woods? Did people really burn witches? Were nights real? You answer carefully. Truth is fluid. Sometimes truth is just what they need to sleep without fear. So yes, the dog was real. The witches were dangerous. The nights were noble. And they never, ever lost. You watch their eyes shine in the firelight. You remember being that small, that hopeful, that foolish. You envy them, not because they're young, but because they still believe the world is big and kind. You don't leave the village often, but one day you do. The church sends a call, a larger gathering in the next town, a religious feast. You go, not because of faith, but because of curiosity, because of motion. The road is long, your feet ache, but your eyes drink everything. Trees you've never seen, birds with songs you've never heard, faces that don't know yours. The town is bigger, louder, fuller. Markets stretch for blocks, spices in the air you can't name, music from 3 directions at once, flags fluttering with strange symbols, children selling trinkets, beggars preaching, bakers laughing. It's overwhelming and beautiful. You stand in the square and close your eyes. The sun warms your face. For a moment, you feel like a traveler, like someone whose story hasn't been written yet. That night, you sleep under stars in a stranger's barn and dream of doing it again. Your body is slower now. Tasks take longer. You forget things, names, directions, where you left the knife. But you remember moments, faces, songs. Sometimes, you sit by the hearth and carve wood. Little animals, tiny horses. People smile. Children play with them. It's not useful, but it brings joy. You never thought you'd value joy over survival, but here you are. One morning, you wake before dawn. The fire is still out. You walk outside barefoot into dew-soaked grass. The sky is violet, bleeding orange. A rooster crows far away, and for the first time in years you don't feel heavy. You just feel here, alive. And that is enough. A traveler arrives, young, clean, dressed strangely. He carries parchment, books. He writes things down. He asks questions about the village, about life, about you. You're suspicious. Everyone is. But he offers bread, stories, and kindness. You speak with him, slowly, carefully, then more freely. He listens with wonder, like your words are treasure, like your memories matter. He writes them down. You ask why. He smiles. So others will know. And for the first time in your life you realize what you endured might one day become history, not forgotten, not erased, recorded. Years pass. You age, quietly, softly. The world around you does not wait. New tools, new crops, new rules. You see things shift. Roads are paved. Inns appear. Merchants bring goods from farther than you imagined. The world is changing, not fast, but enough to notice. And one day, you sit beneath the same tree you climbed as a child, the same one your brother carved into. You trace the old marks with your fingers. You smile. You've lived. You survived the cold, the plague, the hunger, the fear. You found joy in a child's laugh, in a loaf of bread, in a full moon over silent fields. Your life wasn't easy, but it was yours. And now, it becomes memory. You close your eyes. The world keeps turning. But for you, the story ends. Not with fanfare, but with peace.